Without further ado, I'll jump in. I'm going to be your host for this session. My name is Devin O'Reilly. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship and Detroit Engagement for the Detroit Regional Chamber. I have been kind of with NeighborHUB since the very, very beginning. I helped kind of create the program that became NeighborHUB along with General Motors. So I guess I probably know it as well as anybody. So I hope you feel like I'm a good person to host the session. I should be able to answer anything for you. So what we're going to do, just to give everyone a quick overview, I wanted to wait to see, if we don't mind, I always like to do this. We don't have too many people on, so it won't take a ton of time. But I'd like to just go around and have everyone introduce themselves. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to, but I'd like to have everyone go around and introduce themselves just to say who you are and maybe what organization you represent, just so we can kind of get a feel for who's in the room, the virtual room. And then I have some slides that I'll go over to give you some information about the program. That should take about 15 minutes or so. And then really the rest of the time is open to questions and helping anybody work through any questions they might have. We have some people here from Michigan Community Resources who is going to be a partner in this with us. And they're going to be a really good resource to help you make sure that you're submitting the best application that you can. And we'll have some other opportunities for office hours and things like that to engage. So we want to make sure we give you all the tools you need to submit a good proposal for this. So why don't we get started? And Matthew, maybe you can start with introductions.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Schmidt. It's good to see some familiar names on the screen. I'm with Michigan Community Resources. I am in charge of resource navigation, but a lot of what we do also, as some of you know, is support on all kinds of levels with nonprofits, ranging from helping with pro bono legal matters to application assistance for things such as this. So we've partnered in the past with Kresge and COACT, and we're excited to partner with the Detroit Regional Chamber to offer support to help you all put your best foot forward for these grants with the nonprofits. And so we will go over that later, but we're going to offer some, actually for the first time in a long time, if people are comfortable, some in-person office hours as well as virtual, so we can help you just get your stuff together before the deadline.
Great, thanks, Matthew. Usually the best way to do this is so not everyone's trying to talk at the same time. Is I'll try and point out people. So Gracie, I see you're next to me on the screen. So do you want to go ahead?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Great to see some of you here. I'm with Global Detroit, and I do a lot of work supporting the Opportunity Neighborhoods team and small business.
Great, thanks for being here. Kyle Bartel.
My name is Kyle Bartel. I am a co-founder of a project called Sit On It Detroit, where we build benches at bus stops around the city and a micro infrastructure at parks and social gathering spaces. Here to learn some information and saying how to get involved. Thanks for hosting.
Great, thanks for being here. I've seen your benches out around the city, so great work. Next, Richard Carson. You there?
Oh, sorry. Hello, I'm Richard Carson. I have a nonprofit, Health and Safety for All Foundation, and we provide first aid kits, health and safety equipment, and supplies to in underserved communities, individuals that require that type of equipment, but may not necessarily have the resources to buy a $2,000 automated external defibrillator. So just kind of give you an example.
No, sounds good. Thank you. Julia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Cuneo. I am the strategic coordinator for a youth-run activist organization called Detroit Area Youth Uniting Michigan, or DAM. So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having this.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Suzanne?
Hi, yes, I'm Suzanne Clegg. I am currently working with Prosperous Detroit, helping small business owners maximize their opportunities and dreams.
Awesome. Jerry?
I'm Jerry Sloan. I'm a grant writer for a few different organizations around town, just seeing who this might align with, trying to help out.
Great. Alicia?
Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia, and I work with Matt at Michigan Community Resources.
Great, great to have you. Is it Maria? Are you there? If not, we'll move on or come back. I see also Shamil is looking to connect via audio, so Shamil Dobbs should be on in just a few seconds there. Shamil, you there?
I am here. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, we're just doing quick introduction, so kind of who you are and what your organization is.
Absolutely. So apologies for logging in a bit late. Shamil Dobbs, the Chief Executive Officer of Michigan Community Resources. And not sure if my team jumped in yet. Matthew's on the line and Alicia's on the line. Hopefully they told you a little bit about what we do, but if not, because I'm like, I'll just quickly say that we provide a host of pro bono legal and technical assistance and capacity building services to nonprofits across the state of Michigan. So super excited to be here with all of you and to hear any introductions that have not been made to date.
Okay, great. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, Shamil, we are recording this, so we'll be able to share that with anybody who isn't able to attend or anybody who has to jump off early or has to jump on late. So we'll have it recorded in its entirety. So what I want to do next, now that we've got introductions out of the way, is share some slides with you. Again, it shouldn't take too long, but I just do want to set some context for what NeighborHUB is, why we do it, what's different this year, you know, what we're going to look for in an application, just to give you an idea. And then, like I said, I want to spend you know, at least you know, half of the time on questions. I just want to hear, you know, what your questions are, or anything that we can help out with. But before I want to do this in a way where if you give me the floor for 15 minutes and I can kind of explain everything from our end, then I'm happy to sit back and answer questions for the rest of the time. So let's we'll jump in, and I'm going to try and share my screen here. And let's see, Matthew, I'll use you. Can you see my screen? Or can I get a confirmation?
Yes, you can. I can.
Got it. All right. So this is the NeighborHUB grant program for the 2021-2022 year. Kind of kicking things off from what is NeighborHUB. So it's a collaborative effort between General Motors and the Detroit Regional Chamber, designed to empower residents to affect change in neighborhoods by providing grants to nonprofits and small businesses now, working in communities throughout Detroit, Highland Park, and Hamtramck. So the background on this is that General Motors and the Chamber both realized and recognized that there was a tremendous need for investment through grant making in neighborhoods in Detroit, through ones that are traditionally maybe more underserved or get less resources and less funding. And so rather than create a grant program that kind of we designed and kind of said what it was going to be, we wanted to hear from the residents and the people that are making that change in their own neighborhoods. And so this grant is very much designed to be a kind of a you tell us approach. What are the barriers? What are the issues in your neighborhood? What are some things that could be created to make it a more vibrant, a more connected space? You tell us what that is and why $30,000 from us will help you do that. And we'll be happy to give it to you as as long as we can make that work. So that was kind of the impetus behind it. So at this year's program, this is the 4th year of the program, we'll have awarded 44 grants, totaling over almost $1.2 million to nonprofits and small businesses. So we've been doing this for a few years now to some really good success. We've seen some great stories and met some great people and connected some organizations through this. So who can apply? Nonprofits, we try and keep this really as simple as possible within the constraints that we do have. I mean, there is some validation, there is some things that we need to know from you, but essentially, if you're a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization working in Detroit, Hamtramck, or Highland Park, you can apply for this grant. So for the nonprofit side, grants can only be awarded to registered nonprofits. Having said that, if you're a smaller organization or if you aren't a registered 501c3, you're welcome to kind of work with or find a collaborative partner. We've awarded grants to block clubs, for instance, that have found a fiduciary and found a 501c3 in their neighborhood to actually apply for the grant for them. The applicant must be a nonprofit, but if you are not, you can help identify, and we'd be happy to help you identify maybe some partners in your neighborhood who might be able to work with you on this. For small businesses, which is new this year, traditionally in the past 2 years, we have only awarded grants to nonprofits. But this year, we recognize the need for small business support and for focusing and getting some resources deployed to small businesses without any red tape, or without at least most of the red tape that has been traditionally involved in some of the the COVID pandemic related dollars and grants. So as long as you're a business with a valid EIN number, at least a year in operation, less than 25 employees, less than $500,000 in gross revenue, and located in Detroit, Highland Park, or Hamtramck, we're really trying to focus on the micro businesses here, the smaller mom and pop shops that are in less or underserved traditional commercial corridors of the city. So how can the funds be used from NeighborHUB? So grantees can request up to $30,000 if you're a nonprofit, or $15,000 if you're a small business, to implement their project or improve their business. We suggest that the nonprofit grant funds primarily be used towards the development and improvement of a neighborhood hub, and with some focus on activating and programming the space. Ideally, you want to focus on a specific element of the program as opposed to funding for a larger proposal. So to break that down a little bit, what we look for in an ideal grant, and this is kind of just the ethos of this program, is the reason we have Hub and NeighborHUB, is we like these grants or these proposals to focus on a specific space, a specific hub in a neighborhood, and what can be done there, whether it's programming, whether it's relative various ways of activating a space, whether it's new equipment for a space, technology improvements, transportation improvements, anything and everything. But we do like to see projects that are focused around kind of a single space in the neighborhood, and then also ones that focus on a specific element of that. I guess the example I like to give is if you are submitting a project that may be a $800,000 total ask, and your proposal doesn't go any further other than to say this $30,000 will be part of the $800,000, that doesn't catch our eye as much. But if you're able to show that, yes, this is an $800,000 project, let's say, but this $30,000 is going to fund this pergola or shelter or playscape that's going to be a part of this space, and this is why it's important. That really goes a long way. Storytelling is a big element. And then for small business grants, those should be used to improve the business in some way. So that could be new or additional signage, new equipment that could improve operations, a new freezer, a new oven hood, whatever it may be. Updates to delivery services, mobile, a new vehicle for something, enhancing online operations. So being able to open up other streams of revenue for your business. Again, we're looking to hear from the businesses and the nonprofits on what they want to do. There's only very little constraints on what you can't really submit for. I'm going to try this. I'm not super tech savvy, so I wasn't able to embed this, but I'm going to try and share this video. So we did a really cool video last year for some of the winners. So if I play it, Matthew, since you're the only one I can see his face, if I start it and I get a thumbs up from you, you can maybe let me know if it is actually playing.
Yeah.
You seeing anything?
Mm-mm.
All right.
You might have to select a different screen to share. Like it might have opened up in another window.
True. Yeah. Let me give me a second. Let me just try that. I'm able to quickly do this. Don't want to hold up things too much, but I would like to share this. Let's see. Next meeting. Okay. Matthew, are you seeing a different screen now?
I'm seeing the YouTube screen. It's not playing yet, but I see the
All
video.
right. And it should start. Is it playing for you now?
Yes, but not with volume.
Interesting. So you're not getting the volume on there, huh?
No.
All right. Well, if we don't have a chance to share it, I'll make sure that we do have it on our website. So we'll share that video. It gives you a good example of kind of what some of the projects are that we're funding or we funded last year, and give you some inspiration, and maybe some of the organizations that have applied before. So if you have a chance, we'll check that video out. So I want to talk next about how projects will be kind of evaluated. I know that'll probably be some follow-up questions that people have. Is what are you looking for in projects? How are you going to evaluate the various projects? So I've kind of covered a little bit of this, but some things we'll look for. Does the project address a community identified need for nonprofits? What is the community identified need that your project is going to address? For small businesses, how will these improvements help your business grow or survive? What are the goals and outcomes, and how are they measured? We would like to see some tangible measures. How many individuals are you planning on serving? How many classes are you going to do? How many items are you going to be able to distribute? Just some, we're not really gonna check your work on this, to be honest, but we just want to know what you're thinking. How many would you like to do? So any kind of tangible goals is always helpful for small businesses. Similar metrics. A number of new customers that you'll be able to reach or serve. Increased revenue, more jobs that might be created through this. Kind of giving us those numbers and metrics is really helpful. How well do you tell your story? The application has a space for storytelling, and we want to hear, tell us about your neighborhood and what your organization means to it, or your business, and what you can, how you're looking to improve the lives of the people who live in your neighborhood. Can the project be completed in a 12-month timeline? So we do hope, and we do ask that once we distribute the grant funds, which are distributed up front. So if you are given the grant, you will get the $30,000 on the front end, a one-time check, basically. And then we hope, and we ask that you're able to finish your project on a 12-month timeline that you submit for. So in your proposal, we'd like you to say, in Q1, in Q2, Q3, here's what I'm going to do. Here are my activities for each part of the year. And it's okay if everything doesn't come together for 12 months. That's perfectly fine. We just want to see if you have a plan to complete this in 12 months. I mentioned, is the grant for a specific asset, or is it kind of a drop in the bucket for a larger fundraise? We want to see, we know you should be at least applying for grants in other spaces and applying for other sources of funding. That's totally fine. We want you to do that. This is absolutely an add-on grant. There's no other grant that you can go after that would stop you from getting this. So this is absolutely add-on funding. All we're asking for is you show us why this $30,000 is going to make a specific impact in a specific part of what you're doing. What are the risks of the project? So, being honest with yourself, what are some of the risks involved in taking on this project or looking to implement this? How are you going to mitigate those? And is there a leader, being held accountable for project implementation? Who's the lead on this project? Maybe it's multiple people, and that's fine. That's fine too. But we would like, we want somebody to kind of raise their hand and say, I'm taking the responsibility on as being, kind of the lead for this project. So the timeline, again, this is an important slide to note. So applications are going to be due November 19th, which is a month from now, with the goal of selecting grantees and we're looking at mid-December. So that's when we would hope to select and notify grantees. And then from that point, our plan is to distribute those funds to grantees right at the beginning of January of 2022, so you can get started on your projects. Grantees are expected to participate in at least 3 meetings. We have done them virtually. We always love to do them in person when we can, but just to sit down and discuss challenges, successes, capacity building. This is just kind of a minimum. I mean, obviously there'll be opportunities to get together even more than that, especially this year with the additional Michigan Community Resource Support. But at the very least, we want to give you a heads up and say, yes, we want to convene the group of grantees at least several times each year. And we'd like you to write, again, storytelling being important. We want you to do at least 2 blogs about your projects during the grant term and submit a short grant report at the year end, just to tell us about kind of final outcomes, lessons, best practices. Again, it's not a test. We want you to succeed. We're not going to take any money back from you. We just want to learn from what you did, what was successful, and what we can improve next time around. So I hope that we try and keep that as easy as possible. That's kind of duplicate. So something else I want to go over is upcoming opportunities and office hours. So as I mentioned, Michigan Community Resources is here to support, and maybe this is a good time, Matthew, if you want to come on and just talk about some of the support that we're going to be able to provide.
Yeah, would love to. So yeah, this is something that I've gotten to work with some of you on this call on other applications before. So what we try to do is look at all the things that the Detroit Regional Chamber is looking for in the application. We are not part of the selection, so we don't have like an in to help you get the grant, but what we can do is to help you sort of put your best foot forward and make sure that all of those pieces are being lifted up and coming through strongly. So we will do some in-person for people that are comfortable with that at the congregation on next Tuesday, a week from today, and then at Spotlight Detroit. So a little bit like sort of north endy and then a little bit more east side for the 2 places, both 11 to 3. And they're first come, first serve. Typically spend 30 to 40 minutes with people going over their application. Best if you have a little bit of it worked on already, so that we can kind of dive in from there. But come where you are, and we can help you wherever you're at. And then for each of those time slots, there will also be virtual for folks that aren't comfortable yet. And so on October 26th and November 3rd, we will have virtual time slots that one of us that is at the office hours will be tending to. And then we'll have an additional virtual only on Tuesday, November 16th, the week that it is due. So yeah, we're really excited to meet you and learn about the things you're thinking about and help you put your best foot forward. So myself and 2 other folks from Michigan Community Resources will be helping the nonprofits, and Devin from the Regional Chamber will be helping with the small business applications.
All right, thanks, Matthew. And yeah, Matthew's going to be helping us a lot this year, so feel free to connect with him on additional resources and opportunities. But yeah, we've got some great upcoming office hours that I hope you can attend. Like Matthew said, we'll be there. Happy to talk to you and help you out. It does help to have started on the application, as he said. It is relatively short, so you're welcome to go check it out. It's on our website, DetroitChamber.com/NeighborHUB. You can look and fill it out. You can save and complete. You don't have to complete it all at one time. You can complete it and come back to it. It's not very long. I want to say it's maybe two or three pages, including all the basic information that we need to get from you. So again, we try and make this not something super invasive or super difficult to fill out. And we're happy to assist with anyone who's looking to do that. So there's my contact for questions, DOReilly@DetroitChamber.com. Again, we're going to share this presentation. My contact info is all over the website. So I hope it shouldn't be too hard to get a hold of me. But there's my email right there. And that's the extent of my slides that I wanted to share with you. So let me jump, let me jump out of sharing so we can get back to the faces here.
While you're doing that, Devin, I just want to point out, I put the link for the video you were hoping to share in the chat, as well as the link for sign up if people are more comfortable doing it virtually, and also my emails there. So hop over to the chat and get those so you can check those out afterwards.
Great, thanks, Matthew. All right, without further ado, if anyone has questions on really any element of the project, I would be happy to answer them.
This is Gracie, and I just want to clarify in regards to this is an add-on project in regards to East Davidson Village Community Hub. Matthew knows all about this. So if they wanted to apply for not the building, but for the garden, would that fall in line as an add-on, or would it has to be an additional project that they add on to the proposal?
I'm sorry, so you already have a building that you are getting grant funding for, is that?
Yeah, so they're slated to build a community hub through a building acquired from the land bank. And it includes 6 lots to complete a community garden. So we're proposing applying for this particular grant for the garden and then the community foundation for the building.
Got it. Yes, that would be completely appropriate. The add-on part is just kind of, maybe I said that in a confusing way. All I meant to say with that is that it can be used or combined with any other grant funding. You know, I know there's some grants that, you know, if you take this money, then you can't also go get money from other places. You can't apply for this grant. This NeighborHUB grant will work with anything else that you're also going for.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have 2 clarifying questions, and I'll just ask them both real quick because they're not super extensive. The first one is that, you know, my organization is quite small, and we have a fiduciary sponsor, and we already have sort of a relationship with them and how it works. You know, they handle a lot of our accounting and checks and stuff like that, but they don't necessarily partner with us on programming. And I'm wondering if that would constitute a partnership based on what you were saying in terms of them being a partner on the project. And then 2, my second question is, we work with students from across the city. And so we have been talking for a long time about a youth-run community center for youth organizers. And it wouldn't necessarily be as deeply seated in the neighborhood as I'm hearing a lot of these awesome projects are. It would be intended to serve youth from across the city. And I'm curious if that still constitutes a NeighborHUB, or if that's not quite the vision y'all have for these funds.
Yeah, that's a good question. So to the first one, you know, really it's just a matter of, is that partner willing to, you know, basically they would have to be the name on the application. They can list you as a partner and you can do all the programming. They don't need to do anything. But, you know, from a paperwork standpoint, they would need to say that they're applying, and they would need to submit proof of being a 501c3. But if you do all the programming and you're doing all the activities, that's totally fine. They just need to be the name on the submission. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And then to the second question, it's a good one. And, you know, to be completely honest, we have funded projects that have broader reach, but I will say that traditionally, we do tend to select projects that focus on a specific neighborhood, a specific space. So it's not to say that, you know, we would still consider your application, absolutely. But we tend to fund more place-based, space-based specific projects rather than ones that serve broadly multiple districts, multiple areas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything off the top of your head that might, you know, sway you towards more citywide organizing? I'm thinking about, like, if we can show that our work does benefit that community as well, and that the young people across the city have this need for sort of a central hub. Anything else off the top of your head that would be, you know, sort of a deciding factor in that citywide approach?
Well, I mean, without getting too into the weeds on the project, I would say that if you are creating a central hub for something that will serve a broader area, that sounds more in line with what we're looking for. If part of it is to create a centralized hub that administers services to multiple areas, multiple neighborhoods, that sounds more in line with what we're doing.
Okay.
If there's kind of like I said, if there's more of like a central hub type of situation, or if you can show that there are multiple kind of smaller areas that will benefit directly from this, and how would they benefit directly?
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Julia, I'm just going to jump in. I mean, you bring up something that I think a lot of youth organizations struggle with because youth are so ever moving, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like the community sense of it is, you know, especially if you're working with, say, high school kids, sort of changing every few years. But some things, you know, if you came to office hours, I'd get into this a little bit more, or, you know, other folks could help you with this. But, you know, thinking about ways, you know, some of the ideas I saw that we all saw on the presentation were, what if you had a van that like helped sort of bring kids from different places into one spot? Or what if you, you know, to help out in their communities, but there is, to sort of fit within what Devin is getting at, sort of a place to come to that sort of gets built up. How do you get out to all those folks, a hybrid virtual, like teenagers, hybrid virtual kind of thing? Just sort of thinking through ways that could work. But I mean, I think you struck that chord with place-based stuff for teens is always a little bit tricky, but there are ways to lift that up. I think we can help you work on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Kyle here. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So my project is it's been an ongoing project for, I want to say, about close to 7 years now. And I am curious because to kind of piggyback off Julia when she mentioned like having a specific place in mind, I have more of my place would be more of my workshop, which I would like to scale up on and begin operating at more capacity. So I've been fortunate enough to work all across the city of Detroit in different neighborhoods, activating places and public spaces. But for this particular grant, I would kind of want to do a blend of both. So really investing into my space, so more tools, more state-of-the-art industrialized tools to help scale in the production space, but also maybe rolling out in a signature project of a space that becomes defined as I do my research on where like the next project would need to happen. Because right now I'm doing like a project in Southwest. I did some stuff on the East Side. And there's still, I get a lot of inquiries about from my community of people who want some of the services that I provide in their neighborhood, and perhaps maybe selecting one where we can possibly do like a signature service project in a particular neighborhood once that's defined, but also utilizing it to increase the space of my workshop so that, you know, I can host more people, or we can do, because I'm a lot of my project is based on me doing the work as well as bringing on people to also participate in the process. So allowing them to put the tool in their hands and they can be hands-on in doing that. So what would be the best approach to going after this grant? And in the sense of it being, should it be for the nonprofit of the 30,000 or the business, I think you mentioned, which is only 15, and seeing how should I apply if I'm looking to go for the 30,000 and to kind of scale on the project side while investing into like the brick and mortar to make general improvements, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. And while you were starting to explain the situation in the beginning, my first question when you mentioned the shop was, is there a public element to that? Can people visit the shop? Can people come and learn at the shop? And I think that what you're getting at is a point to, and you obviously, and you answered that, and the answer is yes. And I think to getting to what makes a valuable NeighborHUB grant, I think if you're kind of talking about being able to teach skills, do workshops, classes, help young people or people who are interested learn new skills in the neighborhood, that's absolutely a NeighborHUB type of project. So I think that's exactly, you're right on the money with, that's the key to making it a hub. Even if you're doing small projects in various parts of the city, I think that workshop can become the hub whereby you're you're helping out people in the neighborhood, either showcasing new skills, access to tools, whatever it may be that you envision doing in that workshop space.
So if I apply for the 30,000 and for the nonprofit, I mean, so there are two different, you can apply for 30,000 for the nonprofit or 15 if you're a small business?
Correct.
Okay. Because, so the way I structure, because I have a nonprofit and for-profit, and so the for-profit side is more so for custom fabricated jobs that we do, and then the nonprofit is more of kind of an arm of really us giving back to the community and building benches at bus stops. And I'm just thinking of the best way to approach, let's say if I want to go for the 30,000, it would be through the nonprofit, correct?
Correct.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't submit for both. I mean, you're in a little bit of a unique situation in that you have both kind of arms. You could hypothetically submit for both. There's nothing precluding that. I'm just going on a limb. I don't know if we'd select both of them. We'd probably choose one that we thought was the best proposal. But you could apply for both. And then also, I just would throw out there, we could get in depth with this with Matthew and I at one of the office hours. I'd be happy to kind of sit down and look at both applications and say, which one seems to be the more viable play.
Thank you.
Because I'm in that same situation as well. I have a for-profit and a nonprofit. So, okay. But I'm going to submit under the nonprofit. Okay. Because I don't want to muddy the water too much by applying for both. I just feel just consolidate. Yeah.
Right. Not that you can't, but I would suggest, even if it'd take more time, but even if you kind of practiced filling out both and then kind of looked and evaluated what's a better proposal here, what seems like a stronger project proposal. And we're, Matthew's, happy to help with that. MCR and myself, we're happy to help you kind of talk through that. Anyone else? Well, if we don't have any more questions, we can wrap up. As I mentioned,
I think there's in the chat. There's a question in the chat. I'm not sure.
Oh yes, Suzanne, got it. Can a new nonprofit apply with less than 1 year of being registered in Michigan? That's a really good question, actually. Yes. For a nonprofit, there's no restriction that you have to be in business for X amount of time or have to be incorporated for X amount of time. So if you have registered relatively recently, you are still able to apply as a nonprofit. All right. So we'll wrap up. As I mentioned, this is being recorded. We're going to put it up on the website, neighborhub.com, DetroitChamber.com/NeighborHUB. Matthew has put in some of the good links that you'll want to know or refer to, the sign up for the future office hours that we're going to hold, the link to our NeighborHUB video from last year that featured some of the winners and them talking about their projects. And then, feel free to follow up with any questions you have for us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.